Good morning, dear students. This is the first video for revision, chapter 1. Chapter name is Resource and Development, and this video is for the student of Standard 10. Students, as we already read the topic Resource and Development, so this is the revision for you so that you can just understand the topic which already covered. When we talk about resource, so anything which are available in our surrounding satisfying the human needs are called as resource. It must be technologically accessible, culturally acceptable, and economically feasible. So you can see here natural resources. Some of the natural resources are just shown in this picture. When we talk about types of resources, so it is divided into on the basis of origin. So we have two resources on the basis of origin, that is biotic and abiotic. You know, the living beings are the biotic resources and non-living things are called abiotic resources. So you can see river, stones, soil. So these are coming in the category of non-living and are called as abiotic resources. Biotic resources are living beings. You can see forests are coming in that, animals are coming. So these are the biotic resources. When we talk about the resources on the basis of exhaustibility, so there are renewable resources and non-renewable resources. You can understand simply that the resources which can be renew itself or which can be renew in a short time, that are called renewable resources. Non-renewable resources are those resources which takes long period of time for its renewal and hardly it renew, so they are called non-renewable resources. Examples are shown over here, that you can see wind energy, solar energy, then after that forest. These are the renewable resources. Non-renewable are coal, petroleum, natural gas. When we talk about on the basis of ownership, so they are individual resources, community owned resources, national resources, and international resources. So if we divide resources on the basis of ownership, so we are having our own personal resources. They are our buildings, our plot, any well. Okay, so these are coming in the category of individual resource. When we talk about the community owned resource, so the resources on which whole community can claim, they are called community owned resource. You can see here cemetery, pond, village pond. You can see open area in any village areas. So they are the community owned resources. No individual can claim on that. Next is the national resource, the resource which belong to the whole nation, like forest, flora, fauna, okay, our railways. So these are the national resources. International resources, you already know about the international boundary, that 200 nautical mile. So the ocean, the water reserves, they are the international resources. Underneath the surface of water, we can just extract the resource from there. So they are coming in the international resource category. On the basis of status of development, again 4 types of resources are there: potential resources, developed resources, stock, and reserve. So next is development of resources, that how resource developed. So it is the process of developing the resources in order to make them useful for satisfying human wants. Some resources cannot be used directly. They have to be processed to make them useful for satisfying our wants. So development of resources is, it means that making resources fit for the consumption, because some resources which are present, they are not directly can be utilized by the human. You can see here land has to be cleared and plowed for growing crops. Water has to be taken to the field to irrigate. So directly if we want to just apply our work, it cannot be effective. You can see problems created by indiscriminate use of resources by man are: many resources got depleted, like forest. Example is forest. If human will not use resources, so what type of problem we can just face? So many type of problem. First, resource got depleted, like forest deforestation is going on. Resource got accumulated in the hands of few people. The society is divided into rich and poor. So wherever this will just come, we know that resources are not equally distributed, or if resources will be accumulated in the one hand, then it will create the gap between rich and poor. Global warming, that is depletion in the ozone layer, environmental degradation, and other problems are there, which also leads to the major problem due to the indiscriminate use of resources. Next is, that's why the question arises that we need to use resources judiciously, so that it must remain for the future race also, and we should not face the problem in present. The economic development which does not damage the environment and at the same time takes care of the needs of the future generation is called sustainable development. So this is very important part of the resource development, that whatever resources we have, we need to use it judiciously, so that it should not over, or it should be with us, it should be there in the future also for our future generation. So using resources judiciously, that is the sustainable development. Sustainable development is important because many of the resources are non-renewable and exhaustible. Over exploitation of these resources will affect the needs of our future generation. So the resources like coal, petroleum, natural gas, these are limited in quantity. If we will just use it indiscriminately, so it will just exhaust, and it will not be there available for our future race. Second is environmental pollution also it will take. So environmental pollution has become a major threat to survival for human beings. So these are some problems which can be created due to the indiscriminate use of resource. Importance of resource planning. That's why we need to just plan our resource. It is a complex process, but yet we have to try to plan our resource. You can see here it is necessary for the balanced development of India. Some regions of India are rich in certain resources and poor in some other resources. Like example is given, Rajasthan is poor in water resources but rich in solar and wind energy. So as we know that resources are not equally divided or equally distributed, so that's why people can face the problem. In one area abundant of resource is present of one type, on the other hand it is lagging behind one other type of resources, which is very major for them. Some regions are self-sufficient while other regions are very poor in important resources. Example, Madhya Pradesh is rich in many resources but Ladakh is poor in resources. Wastage of resources can be avoided by planning. We have talked about sustainable development. Sustainable development can only be possible if we plan our resource. So when we just minimize the wastage of resources, it will help in the planning of resource. Environmental pollution can be reduced. Okay, so with the help of resource planning, we can just save our environment. Over exploitation of resources can be avoided. So this way we have covered here in this topic about the resource and its development. Types of resources we covered, sustainable development we just discussed, and resource planning also we discussed in this video. So I hope you understood. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much.